idea. Somebody had sent it to me. It was Bobby Owinski, who I love to pieces. You know, he's the guy that knows everything about the music industry, and he wrote about us. I was so shocked, but yeah, I just was like, wow.
Let me go. Forbes. Let's see
It's
here.
live music venues are hurting, but so are the crews that make it happen. That's the title of it.
They didn't reach out to you and ask you about this?
I didn't know that bought here. I don't have
So
a
it
way
was
to
by
send you the
Bobby
link, do I?
Owasinski.
Yes.
I'm surprised.
Owsinski.
Got it. And how did you find this out? Did they send this to you, Sandy?
A friend of mine sent it to me, and I was like, whoa. So we had talked about it, writing about it, and he knew the site, and he's well aware of what we've been doing. So I guess he just decided he wanted to help, and I'm so grateful to him for doing it. So I've been on the phone actually since 4 o'clock this morning, with the phone's been ringing off the hook because of this, and I'm grateful. And a lot of people just wanted advice, or they wanted resources and things like that. So luckily, I was able to help a lot of people. I think the saddest one I had was a gentleman that lost his house, and he is living in a hotel in Georgia because he has nowhere else to go with his girlfriend.
Mm.
And that one broke my heart. That one was hard to listen to. But I understand, you know, it's messing up everybody's lives. And certainly it's not his fault. It's not any of our fault. It just happens.
Wow. Congratulations on this write-up. If you can get Bobby's information, Sandy, that would be awesome.
Oh, Bobby's a legend, man. If you Google his name, it's like right there. I mean, he's written books, he's written all kinds of stuff. Bobby's a legend in this industry.
I see he's a senior contributor at Forbes. Congratulations. They put the GoFundMe link in that.
Yes,
Really nice.
they did. Thank you. Yeah, and it's helped a lot. There's been definitely donations that have come in because of it. So it's going to be able to feed a lot of people. I was very, very honored.
This is incredible. Well, we are going to get the show started. I figured let's go ahead and go live. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. I am going to get to my introduction. We're just going to be doing something different today because Sandy Espinoza is an incredible, incredible ambassador for what's happening here in the music industry. Roadiecare, roadiecare.com. Just found out now we are live on Clubhouse. I figured we would go ahead and do this through Clubhouse. Get those people over there to, join in if there's any questions, if anyone wants to add any questions on YouTube or Facebook Live, Instagram. You guys all know how to connect with us here. My assistant's ready for any input or anything that comes in. Let me know about that. So I'm going to say, Sandy, before we get too ahead of ourselves, because we're not going to be short on this. So I want you to take as much time as you need to share. We're going to have this out. Today is the 11th. I'm going to go ahead and we are going to have this show on tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I may run it all weekend long. Friday, I'm going to write it down now. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're going to go ahead and have this on 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So with that.
Well, send me the link, and that way I can post it on the site.
Oh, it's going to be live on Power 98.5. So all they have to do is either go on Alexa, download the app, go to the webpage. So it's going to be on the radio station, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, perfect. I'll make sure I put that up on the website.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm going to air this.
Nice.
All right. So let's get the show started.
Okie dokie.
We don't play the social game. We are social. Power 98.5. You're listening to Power 98.5, powered by United Angels Dream, your number one resource for public relations, entertainment, and multimedia. Contact them today at unitedangelsdream.com.
Prepare yourself.
Okay, let's go.
Hi, this is Dan Aykroyd. He's progressive. He's beautiful. He's thoughtful. He's intelligent. He's powerful. He's positive. He is Stephen Cuoco on Power 98.5 Satellite Radio.
Empowering listeners from the US to the UK. Live on air with Stephen Cuoco.
I've got my Sandy on the line live. I was not going to mute her. I was going to keep her live. So if you heard a little bit of a hiss there, it's only because we are live on Clubhouse, the Clubhouse app. We are also live on YouTube, Facebook. We are live on the Power 98.5 Satellite Radio, iOS, Android app, Alexa, Radio Line, Streama, Streamitter.com, MyTuner, and new to the platform, radio.com, the largest online satellite and FM radio station platform out there. Super proud and happy to have been able to join their roster of satellite radio stations on radio.com. With that being said, good morning to you, Sandy. You're West
morning.
Coast. Good morning.
Yes,
good
yes,
afternoon to everyone else here joining us. Wow. We were just talking before we went live. You just found out you got an incredible write-up on Forbes by Bobby Awazinski.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So excited about that. And we had a great write-up about us in Polestar a few weeks ago by a wonderful woman named Debbie Spear. She's an editor there. And that sort of started it off. And that was where a gentleman in the music industry, a very sought after guitar tech, as well as a tour manager, told his story about the devastation that's happened because of the pandemic to the entertainment industry. And he actually was one of the first that stood up and said, you know what, this is what's going on in my life, and I'm ready to lose my house and my car, and I need some help.
Yeah, we have this on Polestar. There's a photo by Jim Trucchio, if I'm saying his last name correctly. Dan O'Neill is but one of thousands of crew members and other independent contractors impacted by the touring shutdown caused by COVID, and who found themselves with few resources to tap while waiting for shows to return. And here's something I'm going to do, a myth buster. So a lot of people have heard of the PPE. All right. I do know of people in the entertainment industry that are collecting a PPE. Due to Ms. Sandy Espinoza at Roadiecare, you can find out more about her and Roadiecare at roadiecare.com. Just how it sounds, roadiecare.com. So we're going to have soon, I'm going to get back on the phone. We're going to have Tom on. He was Eddie Van Halen's guitar tech. Incredible gentleman. I had as you all know, we got about 2.5 feet of snow recently. We've been wanting to get this interview with Sandy and Tom a lot sooner. However, Sandy did share with me, we are in Mercury retrograde for anyone that follows that. So things have been getting rescheduled, postponed, so on and so forth. But as you know, Sandy, when I put that prayer out there, I said, no disruptions. We are having your interview on Thursday. Here we are.
We are.
With the Mythbuster, what Tom had shared with me is that not everyone's getting PPE.
That's right.
The crew members are not getting these checks. So don't be thinking that the government and these checks are helping everyone. All right. We all know the monotony that's happening of people getting it that shouldn't be getting it, people getting it that, aren't qualified to get it. a run of the muck. You know, a broom and dustpan can't even sweep up this shit that's happening right now. And what's incredible, what Sandy's doing with Roadiecare.com is she has set up a GoFundMe account, which was highlighted and expressed in the recent Forbes issue, that goes directly to help the people that help you to have a great experience of the celebrities and talent that you're out there watching on TV and live in its performances. So Sandy, can you take us deeper exactly what Roadiecare means, the people that you're helping, and really what's missed? Because what Tom had shared with me is they have to wear black. They need to do what they do best and basically not be seen, which they should be seen because they're making the show happen. Tell us more for what really, and even myself, doing this for 28 years, being in the entertainment industry, I knew of these people, but I really didn't know the extent until I met you and spoke with Tom.
Yes, Tom's an amazing guy, and being Eddie's guitar tech from 2007 until literally the day he passed, he's incredibly talented. You wouldn't expect anybody that was a slouch to be Eddie Van Halen's guitar tech, and certainly Tom is literally the best of the best. You can't get any better than Tom. And Tom is right. Basically, we wear black during shows, so we're not seen, because the attention is supposed to be on the performer. And that's fine during a show that we're not seen. That doesn't work out so well during a pandemic. We have been the forgotten people, and I finally stood up and put a face on this and said, you know what, this is unacceptable. My people need to eat. There are 6 million unemployed crew people in America right now that, because of their industry pancaked, our industry is pancaked, they have no work. If you add in Europe and the rest of the world, you're looking at approximately 11 million people worldwide that are unemployed in the live event industry right now. They don't know how to feed their families. They don't know how to keep a roof over their head. They're out there scrambling as best they can, doing Instacart, driving trucks, anything they can do, working at Walmart as a greeter. I mean, nobody is too proud to get a job. The problem is a lot of them are older than what these companies want to hire, and a lot of them are overexperienced, because when you work in this industry for any amount of time, your experience is in many different areas. So they see the resume and they don't know how to correlate our industry experience, which anybody in our industry would jump on, and you put that in the real world and they don't know what to do with it. So I've been recently helping people rewrite their resumes and turning, industry talk into real world talk. Like a person who's a tour manager, I did this morning at 4 this morning when I got a call about this. They were trying to do their resume, and I said, okay, fine. You know how to load a truck? Yes. You know how to drive a truck? Yes. You know how to read a GPS and a map? Yes. I said, then guess what? You've done transportation and logistics. And he's like, oh, wow, I didn't even think of it that way. And that's how we have to go about trying to, turn an industry resume into a real world resume. Not that there's that many jobs in the real world anyway, but at least they're out there trying. And at least if they try, then, there's an opportunity. Basically, Roadiecare does exactly what I've been doing since last year when our industry pancaked. I'm a resource. I pretty much know everywhere to send people for whatever it is they're looking for, whether it's rehab, and this is all for music industry people, whether it's rehab, whether it's, financial assistance, whatever it is that their issue is, I most likely know somewhere where I can go ahead and refer them to. And what Roadiecare does is we go ahead and we facilitate making sure that people have food, but we do it in a very unique way. There's food drives out there and there's food pantries out there where people can go most of the time and get food. But there's a lot of people nationwide that don't have access to food drives. They don't have access to food pantries. So if they're in the music industry, I get a call. They've been referred in, and I talk to them, and there's a little deal that they go through to make sure that they qualify. And I'm able to get them a gift card to Target, Walmart, or Amazon, so they can take that to the grocery store. Amazon's got Whole Foods, and they can actually go and buy food or have it delivered in an emergency situation. It's not, I wish I could buy everybody groceries every week, but that's not what we're set up for. We are a 501c3. We are a charity. We are a nonprofit. And basically what we're here for to start, although I have much bigger plans down the road, but right now we're worried about making sure everybody has something to eat. That's such a basic thing that people all over the world should have access to. And surprisingly enough, there's so many people that don't, especially here in America. So I've been working very hard on making sure that people have something. You know, I think one of the saddest ones that I've gotten a call from was a gentleman who called me, and he was very quiet. It was late one night. Generally, the late night ones are when I get calls that there's been a suicide, which unfortunately our suicide rate has gone off the map, as well as even a few murder suicides. Or, I mean, it's generally not good when I get late night calls because people are so stressed. And this gentleman was very quiet, and he was in, it sounded like a bathroom, and he was crying. And I asked him, I said, what can I do for you? How can I help? And he had his kids, and he had his kids for a little while to visit with his kids. He was going through a breakup with their mother. He couldn't feed them. And he was afraid to tell the mother this because she would have taken him back, and he wanted to see his children. So he said, they went to bed hungry tonight. And he goes, and they're going to wake up hungry tomorrow. And he goes, I don't know what to do. So I went ahead and immediately got him a gift card, and they went to Target the next morning and bought, you know, cheese and milk and bread and cereal and the staples. And they got through the time that he had the kids. And he called me back afterwards, and he was in tears of gratitude after that. And he said, you have no idea how much seeing my children has meant to me, and has really helped me mentally. And they're my kids, and I love them, and I couldn't have done it without you. So those are the kinds of stories that, you know, hit hard. I was a single mom. I am a single mom, although my son's grown and moved away. But I think you're always a single parent if you've had one, at least. And to hear a father in such distress because he wanted to feed his children and couldn't, it's just, you know, that's just one of a million stories. There's single people that can't feed themselves. There's single people that are ready to lose their houses. You know, Tom, of course, is close to losing his home and his business. Eddie, or not Eddie, sorry, Danny, the one who was in Polestar, you know, the same thing. He's behind on his car payments, and the same with his house. I mean, these are people that are A-list people. This has hit every level of our industry. You know, not garage band people, although we have had garage band people that have been obviously affected by it, but I'm talking the top, the cream of the crop, and in techs, and even the musicians are having a hard time, but the techs especially, because they've spent all their lives supporting the musicians, and for the vast majority of them, they're not getting any help from the musicians at all, because for whatever reason, the musicians aren't available. So that's sort of the story of what Roadiecare is about and how we help.
For those that are tuning in, I want to thank you very much. We will be having this live re-aired this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have with me today Sandy Espinoza, the founder of Roadiecare. In an effort to help those in need, an organization called Roadiecare, a nonprofit founded by audio and production vet Sandy Espinoza, is providing assistance that subset of the industry. Relief is provided through electronic gift cards or certificates to recipients that come through either the roadiecare.com website or by referral. As you've heard, we were speaking of Tom Weber was Eddie Van Halen's guitar tech all the way up to when, unfortunately, the day that Eddie had passed away. Tom was very, devoted. He's worked with many artists. We will be having him live on air with Stephen Cuoco on Power 98.5. I wanted to get Sandy on first. We will be doing a series. Sandy will be bringing other people and their story to Power 98.5 live on air with Stephen Cuoco. So you can find out what is really happening in the world, because many people have this misconception that these PPE checks, this relief, has gone out to help everyone in the industry. That is not true. I'm going to read a part that was just recently written by Bobby Osmanowski, I'm pronouncing Alzinski, who's a senior contributor at Forbes. He wrote, many artists think of their crews as family and have done all they can to help them during this crisis. But even an artist with deep pockets is suffering after a year without the lucrative revenue that comes from being on tour. As a result, many crew members have blown through their savings and 401ks in an effort just to survive, with the light at the end of the tunnel never seeming to get any closer. This is why Sandy Espinoza had taken an effort and like, we need to do something. If the industry isn't going to do something, if the government isn't being responsible and paying attention to do something, what can I do to help? And this is how Roadiecare was born. To add into that, I want to read from Polestar, what was written on behalf of Dan O'Neill. And it says here, he received a much needed lifeline during the holidays from Roadiecare, a nonprofit founded by audio and production vet Sandy Espinoza. Unlike other programs, Roadiecare operates by donations of cash and electronic gift cards or certificates. That bears repeating. So if I read this, repeat it, it bears repeating. We're talking about people's lives. Recipients are identified through either the roadiecare.com website or personal referral. And to mention about Tom Weber, he did share with me briefly that he's in a position to where he's selling his equipment. Sandy?
Yes, that's totally right. Because he has a family to take care of, and he's doing whatever it takes to make sure that he keeps a roof over their head. So yes, you're totally right.
What have you been finding out that is the theme that's just ongoing, nonstop? Is it the lack of assistance and care? Is it the lack of support? What are these? I mean, are we talking about hundreds, or are we talking about thousands of road crew that are like in dire straits right now with no help?
Well, we have 6 million in the United States that are unemployed. So I would say 6 million. And if you want to count international, that brings it up close to 11. So I can tell you about the ones that I spoke to this morning. If you want like right up to date information, I would say the ones that I've spoken to this morning, my phone's been ringing off the hook, that actually called, which is fine, numbers on the website. The number one thing they need is resources, and they need assistance. They need to be able to feed themselves, and they're proud people. They don't ask for anything. You know, that's the one thing that roadies don't do, crew members don't do. They generally are very self-sufficient. If there's a problem, we work and do whatever it takes to get the job done. You know, we don't go outside and ask for help. So it's a huge thing to go ahead and have this happen and have crew actually reach out and say, I need help. I need to feed my child. I need to feed my wife. I need to feed myself. These are very proud people that don't ask anybody for anything. They generally don't even file for unemployment between tours. They just, you know, suck it up. Now they're in a position of not being able to do that anymore. And they're having panic issues. They're having, you know, it's hard for them. It's really difficult for them. So I would say a lot of people I spoke to this morning, it was, where do we go? How do we get this? Unemployment in a lot of states, they don't qualify for, or if they do, it's the absolute minimum. And then there's the special government money, the $300 a week that some states aren't even paying it yet. So they're not getting anything. I mean, they're living on air. They're like air ferns. I don't even know how they're living. So there's those needs. I mean, it's a shame because everybody likes to go to concerts. Everybody loves to go to special events and seminars and everything. But these are the people that make it happen. Yet these are the forgotten people. SOS, which was Save Our Stages, got a huge amount of publicity, and that's because they could. And I'm great. It's great for them. I'm glad for them. I'm happy that their mission was accomplished. However, when the government went ahead and gave them 15 billion with a B dollars to help them, they didn't realize what they were basically doing was paying rent on empty buildings. It didn't help the people to put those shows on. I've put shows on in pig fields, literally. I've done shows in the weirdest places and in regular places too, but I've done shows in some pretty unique places, including a circus tent in a parking lot. And that was for Oingo Boingo and Fear, and that was an interesting double booking, let me tell you. But I've done shows all over the world in all kinds of places. You can do a show without a building. You cannot do a show without the people. And the people have not been taken care of. And none of that 15 billion with B dollars went to taking care of any of our people. So I called Washington and I made it known that this was not acceptable. And now I'm working with the senator's office to try to figure out how we can be funded, whether it's through another bill, whether it's through some of that 15 billion that can go into another account for charitable organizations or humanitarian organizations to be able to reach out to and take care of some of our people, because you know what? They deserve it. They're the reason that the shows are happening. Certainly it's the artists, but this is the artist support. And without artist support, I don't think the artists would be out there tuning their guitars or putting their drum kits together and doing a full show and tearing it down and loading it up and going on to the next thing on a tour. It just doesn't work that way. So we are definitely the unseen people, and they work, very, very hard. Sometimes there's only a couple hours of sleep a night between shows. I mean, these people work their butts off. They deserve to be taken care of, and they're not. And that's why it'll be a year next month. March 13th is when our industry pancaked. And I don't know what I'm going to do on the 13th. Somebody suggested I do something to commemorate it. I don't know whether that's a good idea or not. Everybody knows that's the day, unless I can come up with something really positive to announce on the 13th, which would be something that would definitely raise everybody's spirits. But right now, people are pretty down in the dumps right now. People are not sure what to do, what their plan B is. I've been urging people to get a plan B, to go back to school, to take advantage of so many of the free certifications online that the manufacturers are leaving accessible to us, because I believe when work does come back, the people that have taken this time now to add to their resumes, to have, better themselves and better their skill sets, I believe those are going to be the people that get hired first. So I'm urging people to really, and it's good for their head. It's good for them to think of other things besides how bad the situation is. And I think it also makes them feel a sense of accomplishment when they get a certificate that they've done a course. And unemployment, if they're on unemployment, there is retraining through unemployment that's for free. There is retraining through the junior colleges, depending on what state you're in, that's for free, no matter what your age is. If we're going to be off for 2 years, go back to junior college and become a sign language interpreter, or get into broadcast, or get into photography, get into something, get into communications, learn another skill, because at some point you're going to come off the road and you're going to have to deal with the real world, or start a business. I have people that have pivoted, which you'll hear in the future stories. One of the world's best riggers, he rigs everybody that, up in the ceiling to make sure that everything's safe. He's pivoted from, in this time when there's no shows, he's actually making some of the best dog collars I've ever seen in my life, and they're absolutely gorgeous. So he took his skills in being able to sew, and he's now making dog collars and harnesses and leashes. I mean, and they're phenomenal, and they're beautiful, and they're selling really well. Another guy I know is doing cinnamon rolls down in Nashville, and they're amazing. I mean, that guy can bake like nobody's business, and he's made a whole business out of baking. A lot of people have. There's another guy that's doing one that's my favorite. It's called Sound Bites, and he's down in Nashville. and he donates the money from sound bites, these little bitty cookies, back to music cares, because we keep taking from music cares, but you know what, we have to replenish that well. It's like taking all the water out of the well. At some point it's going to go dry, so we have to keep replenishing those nonprofits that help, so that way they can continue to help people. And music cares has been amazing, as has been the Actors Fund. They adopted us, and I don't know, they've been phenomenal. They've treated us just wonderfully. And behind the scenes charity is another one that does wonderful work, and those are the three big ones that I go to when I need to send somebody somewhere that needs more than what I can provide. Those are the three people, or the three organizations, that I go ahead and send people to, because they do such amazing work, and certainly they deserve every nickel that they can raise, because they do phenomenal work for us and for everybody else too.
For those that are joining us live on air with Stephen Cuoco on Power 98.5, we are live on Clubhouse. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. I want to thank everyone who's joining us on the Power 98.5 satellite radio app, Alexa, and all other platforms. To let you know and to remind you, we have Sandy Espinoza. She is the founder of the nonprofit. She's an audio and production vet that started Roadiecare to help those in the industry that are not receiving PPE checks. Their unemployment is run out. They're having to sell their equipment. To recap, we will be having Eddie Van Halen's guitar tech, Tom Weber, coming up very, very soon on a future episode, and to really highlight of what was discussed and talked about on Polestar when it was shared about Sandy and Roadiecare, Roadiecare.com. It says, despite the euphoria in the live business over the recent passage of a second federal stimulus package and $15 billion to provide assistance to various sectors of the live business, many remain unable to access sufficient assistance to sustain themselves and their families during the prolonged lockout caused by the COVID pandemic. The money goes largely to businesses, not individuals. This is where many people in the industry assume that these PPE checks and government assistance is helping all of them. They are not. They are not at all. There's millions that are not receiving money, that are losing their homes, that are not touring. They're losing, any type of help. Their cars are getting repossessed. They're having to possibly close down their business. Tom Weber, Eddie Van Halen's guitar tech, is now selling his equipment. It goes on by saying the money goes largely to businesses, not individuals, and even industry-supported funds often have exclusions preventing many from accessing desperately needed help. Roadies, production and tour managers, crews, and others who make the stages possible are often independent contractors and, in some cases, were hired by larger touring companies, thus ineligible in some cases to receive these monies. And this is why Roadiecare is here.
That's exactly right. You're totally right. And it's a sad state of affairs, but I am grateful that I'm able to help. And I'm so grateful to the people that have donated to allow me to be able to help. It started with in March of last year when this all happened, and I was finding out about this and the people couldn't eat. I reached out to friends of mine that had companies, and even friends of mine that didn't have companies but actually had a few extra dollars. And I said, could you adopt a roadie? Which is actually something that we do on our site. And if you look on Roadiecare, adopt a roadie for February is Tom Weber. So they would say yes. And I'd say, okay, what's your budget? How much can you spend? And they would tell me, and I would say, would you want a single or do you want a family? And they would tell me, and then I had a list, and I would go ahead and say, okay, and this is where the electronic gift cards came in. And I was thinking, I need to be able to get these cards to people. I need to be able to get food to people in ways that nobody else has been able to do. How would I do this if I was in Idaho and I needed money? How would somebody do it? I don't send cash, but I could send a gift card. I could send, everybody's got a Target, and Target has a grocery area, and pretty much everybody can get to a Walmart. And certainly Amazon, you can get food delivered either by going into Whole Foods or having it delivered. And those were the three that I chose. So I would give the people, the donors, a choice. Where do you want to send? Which one do you want to send? Because you have to do the gift card on your side through the app, and they would choose. And then they would say, okay, I need an address. So I had a list of addresses, and I would give them an email address or addresses of whoever it was they had chosen. This is all anonymous. Nobody knows who they're sending to. That's really important because this is a very proud bunch of people, and eventually everybody worked together. And I didn't want anybody to ever feel less than or feel embarrassed that they were working with somebody who had assisted them during their time of need. So this is all totally anonymous. Nobody knows who they're sending to or who's getting it or who they're getting it from. So I would give an email address that the people had provided to me, and the donor would send directly to the donee or the person in need, and they would get it in their email within a matter of minutes, and they could take it to the grocery store or to Target, or to Walmart, Target, or Amazon, depending on what card they got, and immediately be able to get some food to feed themselves and their families. So to me, that was the fastest way to be able to take care of people that had the hunger issue. And we did that through most of last year. And there were some people that didn't want to, they just weren't into doing, for whatever reason, their computers weren't working that way. They didn't have the app. They just didn't want to do it. So I went ahead, but they wanted to donate. So I said, well, let me put up a GoFundMe to make it easier. And that way people that don't want to deal with the gift card aspect of it, for whatever reason, they can donate, and I'll flip it into gift cards and send it out to the right people. And that's why I put the GoFundMe up for Roadiecare, was to make it easier for people that didn't want to deal with the gift card situation. I would deal with it and send it out to the people that needed it.
Real quick, Sandy, we have Zoo and Sydney in the room. I want to thank you ladies for joining us today. If you want to come up, if you have a question, anything for Sandy at all, please raise your hand. I'll bring you on up. You can take the stage and share or ask any questions. Before we go into the GoFundMe, I'm going to play a clip from your website, roadiecare.com. Gene Hoglin. Do you want to share with us a little bit about him before I play that video?
Oh, Gene Hoglin is wonderful. I love Gene. Gene is the best. My best friend is his drum tech. His name is Thumper. And Gene found out what we were doing, and he wanted to help. He's one of the first artists that stood up and said, you know what, how can I help? And I said, Gene, you know what I could use like a PSA. Would you be willing to just tell us about it? Now, Gene's in the metal community. He's very highly thought of. He's a drummer for Testament, and he's been in many. He used to play with Devin Townsend and so many other bands I can't even keep track. But he's huge. Death Clock is another band that everybody loves, and Death Clock plays with a video going on behind them. It's a very unique show. If you get a chance, you should check it on YouTube. I was blown away by it. I'd never seen anything like it. But anyway, Gene offered and sent me a PSA that I put up on the site, and it made the metal community aware of what we were doing, as well as other people. And Gene, I can't thank him enough for being the first to stand up and support us. He's an exceptional human being and a really good guy, as is his tech, Thumper.
Let's go ahead and play that video right now.
Greetings, everybody. I'm Gene Hoglin, and I'd like to direct your attention to a fantastic new website called Roadiecare.com. Roadiecare.com is an organization that is dedicated to bringing much-needed relief and assistance to our beleaguered tech and crew industry, all of whom have been drastically stricken by this worldwide pandemic. Roadiecare.com has not only established a GoFundMe page, check out this link right here, but also a way that you can donate directly to any crew member of your choosing, which I could think of 50 crew people I'd like to take advantage of this with. And they even have an adopt a roadie option, and I back that fully. So again, please visit roadiecare.com and give what you can. And also have a very merry metal holiday season. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care.
It's an excellent video.
He's great. He's the best.
So I see your goal here is 100,000. You've got almost 18,000. What would be your advice to anyone who would want to consider, are considering, maybe they're on the fence to participate in this? What would you have to say to those people, Sandy?
Are you talking about artists or are you talking about
I'm talking
donations?
about for the donations, for the GoFundMe. If anyone's on the fence wondering, what would you have to say to those people of where this money is going, who's it's for, everything?
The money, well, let's see. The money is going to feed people. Somebody asked me, they said, if you were going to explain what you did to a 5-year-old, how would you do it? And I thought for a minute and I said, we solve problems, get answers, and feed people. And that's pretty much what we do. I call a lot of people, or they call me, and a lot of times they want the human touch. They're scared. They don't know who to talk to. They don't know who to turn to. They're embarrassed to ask for help. I'm able to go ahead and help them with advice, instructions, how to work out through their problems, whatever their problems are, send them to places for whether it's therapy or whatever their issues are that potentially are bigger than what we do. But certainly I know where the mental health places are that I can suggest. And also the people that need food, we talk to them and figure out what they need and how to make that happen. We're a grassroots organization. We're boots on the ground. We're not a giant, nonprofit. We have a heart. And the most important thing to me is taking care of my crew members, my family, my industry. And sadly, last year on March 13th, my entire industry was destroyed. I've been in this industry since I was 12 years old, and I am far from 12 at this point. So I've watched it go high and I've watched it go low. And right now we're pretty desperate. The people that make these shows happen are pretty desperate. We're going to wind up losing them to other jobs if they don't get help. Their other careers, they're going to have to leave because of the security. So when tour season does come around, those people that normally would be out there making those shows happen will have gone into different areas because they couldn't afford to wait around and they had to feed their families. So, we're not a big organization. This is not about buying an island or buying a Ferrari. This is about putting food in people's stomachs. This is a basic need in everywhere. Everybody should have the right to be able to have a meal or food or to be able to feed their families. And that's what we're about, is trying to solve problems and feed people.
With live events, tours, and performances all but non-existent this year, millions of working production professionals have taken the brunt of its impact. With industry veteran Sandy Espinoza, we're live on Clubhouse, stepping forward with Roadiecare, a 501c3 nonprofit created to benefit professionals who are facing meager resources. Sandy, is there anything that you would like to add in addition that we may not have covered when it comes to Roadiecare and what you're offering when it comes to gift cards, the GoFundMe? We will be having Eddie Van Halen's guitar tech, Tom Weber, for a live interview coming up, if not by this weekend, sometime next week. Sandy has been very, very gracious. She's going to be bringing other talent and resources, people that are working with names, like all names that you've heard of. I mean, Tom's worked with Poison, Eddie Van Halen. Who else has he worked with?
Oh, Reva, he does country
Reva,
work with
yeah.
Reba McEntire. Yeah, he does a lot of work with her. Tom has pretty much worked with the cream of the crop, and the people that he hasn't worked with, he's very close friends with. a lot of the techs that are at his level, the A-list techs, are all, everybody knows each other. It's a small family, even though it seems like it would be huge with 6 million out of work. It's funny how many of those 6 million that we all actually know. It's a difficult time, and if people want to help, if they feel uncomfortable about donating to a GoFundMe, and they do want to go ahead and buy a Target gift certificate, I would suggest that you contact me if a gift certificate through Target, Walmart, or Amazon is something that you want to do, and you want to send it to a needy family or a needy person. Contact me through the website, whether calling or sending me a message, and I can get back to you during your time. And I'll arrange, you can go ahead and send it directly to the person in need. It doesn't have to go through us. I'm happy to go ahead and arrange it where it goes directly from you to the person in need. So that's one way. If you want to do that, we're happy to facilitate that. If you want to donate cash, maybe your organization or your business is looking for a charity to donate to for the year, we're happy to go ahead and work with that, charitable giving. Certainly I write grants. If you're aware of a grant that I should write, let me know. I'm happy to do that. And, there's a lot of people out there that want to help, and I'm happy to go ahead and facilitate that helping in any way, shape, or form.
Congratulations again on the Forbes write-up. Very, very, I was going to say nice. I'm like, it's not just a nice, it's an epic write-up.
It is. I'm so grateful to Bobby for doing that. I only saw it last night. I wasn't aware. We had spoken, but I wasn't aware that he had gone ahead and done it. And I was absolutely floored. I can't thank him enough. I can't thank Daniel, our PR guy, enough, because he's friends with Bobby as well. I mean, everybody, it's been such a group effort of people that support us, tell other people, and eventually down the road it trickles down, and people will hear it and it resonates with them, that they understand these people didn't do anything wrong, and these are the people that need to be supported, because without them there aren't going to be any live shows, there aren't going to be any concerts, there aren't going to be any seminars or trade shows or any of that stuff if we don't support them. And they're very needy, and they deserve to be helped at this moment. They didn't do anything wrong. They certainly didn't bring the pandemic over. They just are a victim of it. And when they weren't allowed in, to go out on tour after the 13th of last year, it's been an entire year of no work for these people, except with very few exceptions. I would say one of the best LDs I know is out driving Amazon right now because he was young enough and they accepted him. A bunch of other friends of mine have gone to Amazon and they've been turned down because they've been told, oh, you're too overqualified, which we all know means that we would rather have somebody 18, but thanks anyway.
Yeah, Tom said that he was getting that same experience. He was told he was overqualified.
Yeah, well, that's the legal way of being able to be told that, sorry, you're not the age we're looking for in that age group. So it's sad. We want to work. They want to work. Trust me, if touring was available, I'd have planes full of roadies ready to go out and go work with their artists today. But unfortunately, we can't even leave the country. And there's nowhere safe to play except a few states. And, I'm not sure how safe that is, but it's a scary time. I'm hoping to find some artists that are willing to go ahead and do paid meet and greet virtual where they can stay at home. And, I have so much respect for Joe Elliott and Tommy Shaw, who did this for their cruise. They did virtual meet and greets, and they had people spend, different tiers of what it was they wanted to do, ask a question or just watch it. And for a couple hours, they donated their time, and the money that was raised for that, they donated back to their cruise. So their cruise had food money. So if there's any artists out there that want to do the same thing to help out either their cruise or cruise in general, please be in touch, because it's great PR for you guys, and it also shows that your cruise, you matter, that you care about cruise. And right now the crews aren't feeling like they're not feeling love, you know what I mean?
That's why we're here.
There are
Sandy.
a few bands out there taking care of them.
Make sure
I respect them.
No, I was going to say, make sure you have your rep get that Forbes article on your website very, very soon. That's important.
Yeah, it'll go up probably later on today. But there are a few bands that are out there taking care of their crew, and I respect them immensely. Even if it's not to the full amount, they're at least trying, and that's a wonderful thing. But there's also some artists out there that aren't, and I don't know if it's because it doesn't occur to them that their crews need help, or they're just, I'm not asking for money from the artists. I'm just asking for a few hours of their time, and then that money goes to feed their crews. And certainly, as one of the country artists I was speaking to the other day on Clubhouse, he was actually an old client of mine, and I asked him if he'd be willing to do it, and he said, "Sure. What else have we got to do? We're just sitting at home anyway, so why not? If it's going to feed the crews, it's a good thing for everybody all the way around, and it's good karma, And the universe definitely takes care of those who help others. That we know for sure."
Tune in for the recap on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on Power 98.5 for this live interview with Sandy Espinoza, founder of Roadiecare.com. And Sandy, go ahead and plug in where you would like people to go to find you, more about Roadiecare, and to help out with the GoFundMe.
Please, you're welcome to visit our website. It's Roadiecare, ROADIECARE.com. That's ROADIECARE.com. Feel free to come by. You can read. There's a lot of information on there. If you're crew and you're looking for assistance, I have different links for different things there. And also, if you're looking to help, the Adopt a Crew member of the month, the Adopt a Roadie of the month, I should say, is Tom Weber at Van Halen's Guitar Tech. You can donate to him there on the site. And then we also have a GoFundMe that's there for Roadiecare, where it's for other people that are in need, if you'd like to donate that way. And if you want to donate gift cards, send me an email. The email address is roadiecare@gmail.com. You can send me an email, or there's a form actually on the website. You can go ahead and send me a note and make sure your phone number's in there, and I'll reach out to you, and we can arrange a gift card thing to the people that are in need if you would prefer to send gift cards.
Thank you, Sandy.
And thank you so much for having us. I can't tell you how much this means to me and to our industry, that you're actually paying attention. Anybody's paying attention, and you're such a sweet and generous guy to have given me this time, and such a caring individual to care about people you don't even know. And I know Tom feels the same way, and I can't thank you enough for giving us this platform to talk about our problem, and hopefully people will be educated about us and about what we're going through. So thank you.
You're very welcome, Sandy, and thank you. And like I said, let's continue with this series and go ahead and bring on anyone that you would feel, that needs a voice, a platform, a microphone to let people really understand what's happening here. PPE checks are not going to everyone. Unemployment has dried out. People's, are losing their cars, their homes. They're not able to feed their kids. A lot of people are having a lot of problems in this world. We can't compare what one is going from another. What's very important is the information is accurate that's out there. And when it comes to people that are independent contractors, business owners, in what was, that I read from Polestar, they're not all getting the security or have the security and luxury of what most people have been getting, whether it's unemployment, the additional, security, the PPE. This is everything that's being discussed, right, Sandy?
Yes, that's totally true. You're totally right. And it's hard when they see that their neighbor next door, who may not have worked, or they're in a different industry, they're able to pay their rent, yet my people are not. My people can't feed their families. My people can't even pay their light bills, or their cell phones are getting turned off. It's a rough time, and they want to work, but there's nowhere to work. I'm urging them to go back to school so they have a plan B. But at this point, the most immediate need is to feed their families, because honestly, we don't know how long this is going to go on for. I can safely say that there's not going to be anything of worth tour wise this year. I don't believe it, not until all the vaccinations are out and there's more of a herd immunity. And I don't believe the artists are going to go out this year anyway. I really don't. People are saying otherwise, but I don't see it, and neither do the crews. Maybe next year sometime, but that's yet another year of no money and no work. So that would make it 2 years. Can you imagine not being paid anything for 2 years and still trying to keep your house and food in the fridge and keep gas in the car, if you even have a car at that point? 2 years of no money. So even though I can't pay for the car payments and I can't pay for the rent, at the very least I can do is make sure they have something to eat. And, you know, we just do the best we can with what we got.
And I hope
and
people
wait until it's time for everybody to
figure out what the heck is going on here, because, you know, I'm going to call out what it is, and I'm going to keep repeating myself over and over and over again. The government, those that are in charge, need to have answers as to why millions and billions of dollars are going to other countries. When this is your money, your tax-paying money, it should be going to help you, not some bullshit that's going on in wherever. It should be staying here in the United States. Why it's being trafficked, transported, you know, whatever you want to call it. I call it fraud, you know, committing, you know, fraud to use other people's money without their permission to leverage your power, your agenda, your political agenda, your positioning is bullshit. And I'm going to continue to say that. And, you know, with that, it should be staying here, helping people like Tom Weber, you know, photographers, musicians, videographers, whether you're an independent contractor or not. This whole stimulus check can't pay anything. I think, you know, maybe back in the 80s and 90s, it could have maybe done something, but who the heck has maybe a $600 rent? I think the minimum rent in most places is $1,400 to $1,600. What the fuck is someone going to do with $1,200, $1,400 once a whatever, however many months? Oh, please.
Oh, it's one time. The
One time.
$1,400 is a one-time check. So, you know, I put some tires on the car, or hopefully put some food in the fridge, or pay a bill, or maybe catch somebody up on rent for a month. But then the next month they're back in the same position again. So there needs to be more help from the government. You're totally right. And that's why I've been dealing with that senator to try to make that happen, because we need some kind of extra help. It's just not enough, or there's none at all. So hopefully they'll do something. I'm hoping, but everything's kind of crazy in Washington at the moment with, you know, these court proceedings. So that's been kind of pushed off until whenever this ends, and then we can get back to work again. So I'm hoping we'll have some good news soon, and definitely some security.
To emphasize why I call it fraud is because when someone who's supposed to be responsible to handle the care that is needed of their position and they're doing the opposite, I consider that fraud. The goal for a representative is to, like what I had taken as an oath in business, is to be fair, honest, and disclose all material facts. I do not go against my position as a public relations representative, as someone who believes in a way journalism and media is supposed to be. It's supposed to be for the client, just like you, Sandy. It's about you. Today is about you. It's going to be about you Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You know, this is going to be uploaded to also my distribution company. So it's going to be able to be accessed on, you know, Apple Podcast and all that other podcast stuff out there. You know, we went YouTube Live, Facebook Live. That's the point. It's the level of care that is supposed to be given to people in the positions of the responsibility that we have. And I really hope that you make a difference and get the difference out there with these Congress people, with these people, to understand they need to help their country first, not someone else first, where they don't live. I mean, if they want to go and help, you know, someone who lives in another country, well, then go live there. Focus on your people here. If you don't want to focus on your people here and you're taking their money and using it irresponsibly without their permission, then you don't belong in that position. Because I'm going to tell you, I didn't give anybody permission to use my tax dollars to go support somebody else or some program in another country. And none of these other people who work in the entertainment industry. Why would they? They're losing their cars. They're losing their homes. They're starving. They can't feed their kids. They barely can get any assistance. They don't know where their next work is going to be coming. Mental illness. You know, there's so much going on here. Focus on what's home first before you focus on what's outside. And that's why, Sandy, I want to thank you for really being the driving force to put a spotlight in an area that is so desperately needed. And we know that photographers and models and other people in the industry are going through the same thing. So like I said before, and I will continue to say this, not everyone is getting PPE checks.
Yes, you're totally right. And I appreciate so much you letting me use your platform to get the word out. I appreciate Forbes and Polestar and the other people, whoever else wants to write about us or talk about us or get the word out. I feel, you know, this has sort of been that subject that's been underneath that rock, and I've rolled the rock away, so now and shine the light on it. And sometimes it's not a pleasant subject to talk about, and it makes people uncomfortable. But you know what? Now that the light is shown on it, it's okay to talk about it. And once we talk about it, maybe we can figure out a way to fix it. But as long as that rock is on top of it, nobody sees it. And just because it doesn't exist doesn't mean it's not there. It just means that nobody sees it. And you know what? These people deserve to be seen. These are the artists, and the artists that your favorite artists that are out there. These are the techs that take care of those artists, that make those shows happen. And without these techs, those artists wouldn't be able to do what they do. So if you like going to a concert, if you like going to a show, you know, even though some of them are doing a lot of streaming, and I believe that's going to be a thing to continue as well, they still need techs to make that happen too. If you enjoy any kind of live entertainment whatsoever, we have to keep the techs fed so they can continue to support the artists. And that's why I rolled the rock off of this little hole, which people are probably not thrilled to pieces that I'm shining the light on it. But you know what? These people need to be fed. These people need help. And if that means that I'm making people uncomfortable, then you know what? I'll live with it. But I feel much better knowing that I'm shining the light on it, and people like you are graciously giving us the platform to be able to tell our stories and let people know that we do exist and we do matter, and we need help, and we need a lot of help, because we're obviously going to be out of work for a couple of years. And even the ones that try to work are having a hell of a time trying to get a job. So, you know, it's not for lack of trying. These people aren't working. It's for lack of people wanting to hire them.
Thank you again, Sandy, for joining us today. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. Sandy Espinoza, Roadiecare.com. Upcoming interview will be with Eddie Van Halen's guitar tech, Tom Weber. Thanks to Sandy. And Sandy, please, anyone else that you would like to bring on, anything and everywhere and anyhow that I can help with Roadiecare, especially continuing to interview you, let me know.
Thank you so very much. I have plenty of people to bring on. It'll be an interesting series. I think your people will be very interested to hear everybody's different perspective and how they're getting through the pandemic. Some of them are amazing stories. Well, actually, all of them are amazing stories. They're all amazing people. All 6 million of them, all 12 million of them are all amazing people, or else they wouldn't be in this industry. But we'll get you some stories, and I think your people will be educated and certainly entertained, because road stories are the best.
They are. Tom's got some stories he already shared with me. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Friend us on your socials and let's connect.
Great job, Sandy.
Well, that was fun. Thank you so much. Did it go the